instructs the nervous system. For instance, if I ask you to think of one of your favorite memories, your nervous system is going to go to work to go find a memory to make that happen. They call that representational systems. So there's a whole lot that goes into it, but what they did, part of neurolinguistic programming is just how does language affect our nervous system? And then they also studied excellence, which means they took people who were doing things really well and they figured out, what are they thinking? What are they doing? How are they expressing themselves? And once you find that out, they call it modeling, then you can teach other people to do it just as well, or maybe even better. And people who know Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins, he calls it NAC now, neuro-associative conditioning. But the reality is that's only because he was sued by Richard Bandler and he was told he couldn't use the term anymore. But now anybody can use the term because they let the cat out of the bag and everybody's using it. But he wrote his book, Awaken the Giant, and basically took all of Richard Bandler's stuff. So he got a little bit, he got his hand slapped and they became buddies afterwards. But the reality is that probably Tony Robbins has made it more famous than anybody else because he's such a great presenter, you know, in sharing the information.
Wow. So both that goes hand in hand with biohacking?
Right. Well, what happens now, they know, we didn't know this a long time ago. And of course, people in therapies didn't know this either, but we now know because of something called epigenetics that we can change up to 1,200 gene expressions just by the language we use. When you're using visualization, relaxation techniques, you can literally alter the way somebody's chemistry works, their biochemistry works. And there's a great book by Bruce Lipton called Biology of Belief that kind of explains this. And he's been doing this for almost 50 years. So before anybody was thinking about, everybody thought, hey, we're born with these genes, mom and dad gave us. Now they're showing, and they've proven this in science, that only 20% of your gene expression is from mom and dad. The other 80% is from the food you eat, the beverages you drink, the thoughts you think, the people you hang around, all of these social reasons, these social interactions. Our body is always adapting. Like I said, our body's like a river. It changes based on the environment. So now, just because you have a propensity for something, let's say you have a propensity for addiction, doesn't mean you have to turn on that gene expression. You can do things that they just never turns on. Where another person, it just turns on, and they have a problem with it. So they don't know how to turn these genes on and off, but they do know that language can alter that. They've done studies that Deepak Chopra was part of, one where they actually took people who had addiction and they measured their gene expression for addiction. After 30 days, the group that they were doing visualization, relaxation techniques with actually changed 300 gene expressions during that 30 days. The others that were in the same treatment, they just didn't get the visualization, relaxation part, had no changes in those gene expressions. So it wasn't the other things, it was the actual guided imagery, visualization, relaxation techniques that were doing the changing. And that's because once we learn to relax our body knows how to heal itself, something they call innate intelligence. Just like when we're kids, we fall down, we skin our knee or our elbow, our mom says, oh, it's going to heal up, and she kisses it or whatever. We forget about it. 2 weeks later, we forgot totally about it. It scabbed over, it healed, and we don't even think about it. The body knows what to do if we get out of the way and let it heal.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about your technology, your creation called BrainTap. I personally know a lot of doctors worldwide, and most of them use your technology. Can you explain to us how the light and sound and everything works? I'd love to hear more about it.
Right. So this is where the biohacking part comes in, because the light from the sun is not a constant light. The light from the sun is actually pulsating. That's why they have stars. They call them pulse stars, right? They pulse in the sky. Our sun is actually pulsating. We just don't see it because we're so close. It's kind of like watching a movie at 30 frames per second. We don't see the different frames. It becomes continuous. So that flickering light actually affects our nervous system. So we're going to use the eyes. We're going to put light into the eyes. There's two reasons for that. One is to change brain speed, to get the brain to slow down, to get into these alpha and theta states so the body can heal or create what's called hypermnesia, super memory. Whatever the reason is, we have over 1,000 sessions designed to do different things. But the light is key because it also keeps the frontal lobe, this part of the brain, the thinking part of the brain, active. most people confuse meditation with sleep. It's not about sleeping. And so, not that this is exactly meditation, but it basically surpasses meditation. You don't have to learn anything. You simply close your eyes. So through closed eyelids, the optic nerve number 2, cranial nerve number 2, excuse me, will notice the flickering light, a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. This is the part of our brain that's always looking around to make sure we're safe, says, hey, there's flashing light over here. What's going on? There's flashing light over here. What's going on? And the brain starts to synchronize to that light. Now we're doing the same thing with the ears. We're putting light into the ears. Now, some people say, why light in the ears? Why light in the eyes? Well, your eyes actually control 30% of your hearing. So your listeners, you heard me right. 30% of your hearing comes in through your eyes. That's part of our primitive brain. That's why when we're walking through the forest, where we're looking is what we're seeing. And we're in a restaurant, we're looking at somebody, we're talking, we're having a conversation. We forget about all the other conversations until somebody says something like world wellness or something. Then our brain goes, whoo, I know that term. Then that reticular activator kicks on.
Yeah.
And also, if you've ever been in a lecture and you couldn't hear the lecture, but then you adjusted your sight until you could see the speaker, then you could hear them. That's part of this process. So we keep that part of the brain awake, because if you close your eyes and listen to something, you've shut down actually 30 to 40% of your brain's potential just by closing your eyes, because the brain thinks it's time for sleep. So we want to trick the brain. That's the hacking part of it. We're biohacking. Now, the light through the ears is really important, because we need to get photons into the body through the eyes and through the ears, because the next place it goes is into the brain, because the eyes aren't just attached to the brain. The eyes are your brain. So when you think of your eyes, you're actually looking at brain matter. It just took the shape and form of your eyes. So when somebody says, wow, you've got beautiful eyes, they're really telling you, hey, you've got a beautiful brain, because they're seeing your brain there. That's why people like iridologists can tell you all about your body through your eyes.
Right.
But what we're doing is the body absorbs photons, especially those that are 470 nanometer light and 633 nanometer light. These are healing light frequencies. There's another one, 810, but we don't use that one just because we use it in other ways at BrainTap, but not for the headset. We do it for healing the brain. But those two light frequencies, the hemoglobin absorb them. Now they circulate through the body. In first place, it goes into the brain. When it finds a cell that's about to die, in science, they call it apoptosis. When that cell's about to die, the cell magnetically attracts that photon. It goes in and creates, again, mitochondria health. The instruction set of that cell kicks back on. The Krebs cycle starts up again. That cell comes back to life because it needed light. It needed energy. And it creates something called ATP. And for those scientists out there, that's what our body needs. Think of it like currency in the body. If you don't have ATP, you can't heal the body. You can't rejuvenate the body. You can't rebuild the body. So ATP is what we need. So the energy of the cell is rebuilt at a cellular level through light. Now we're using sound along with it, because the sound, when it comes through the ears, there's a couple different sound frequencies. I'm just going to mention one for the listeners, but we want to create the balance. So we're going to put a 300 hertz frequency in one ear, a 310 in the other. Those aren't the exact ones we use, but they're something like that. Our brain will only hear the 10 hertz frequency. Now we have an algorithm that shows if we change that at a certain rate and a certain speed, the brain will follow it. They call this frequency following response. It's actually a science. Our body does it all the time. If we go to the ocean, we're sit down by the ocean, our body will start to sync with the waves. We start to slip into alpha. If we go to a mountaintop, we'll start to slip into theta, which is 7.8 hertz frequency, because that's the resonant frequency of the earth. They call this a Schumann frequency. So we have this frequency that's always happening. Everything in the universe, every physical thing you can see is vibrating. We just don't see it vibrate because it's happening so fast. We think it's solid, but it's really vibrating. And so that vibratory frequency, we either bond to and we like, or we don't like it. That's why when you see something you like, you resonate with it, right? People say that all the time. I resonate with that. Well, what they're saying is their vibratory frequency likes it and that frequency likes, but there's other things you don't like. You go, I don't resonate with that. I don't like that. And that repels me. So we're doing these things all the time. We're using light, sound, and vibration to train the brain to go back to its natural state of being. The natural state is to sleep deeply, rest comfortably, wake up rejuvenated as your best self. And basically clear out the negative memories. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but that's the way that it works. And everything is systematized. So it's not one size fits all. That's why I have 1,000 different sessions. We did for the people for sleeping, one of the first things we do when we work with PTSD is we have to get those soldiers or the people who've experienced the trauma back sleeping. Because when you have a traumatic event happen, you get locked into a cybernetic loop or a beta loop, which means that fear, that frustration, which only happens in the awakened state, is keeping you or preventing you from going into the deep states you need to rest, recharge, and rejuvenate. Because when you do that, you're going to forget about those things. And if you got a charge on them, like, I'm so angry, I got to get even with that person, or I can't believe that happened, or whatever the emotional charge is, we need to discharge that so we can let it go and then have our deep sleep that we need and awaken rejuvenated.
Right. Wow, I have a lot of questions, but I don't know if the time permits, but let me explain to everybody just so they're clear, because I know a little bit more than the average person about BrainTap because I've tried it. So you put on this headset at night, and it puts light and sound in it has light and sound, and it usually lasts up to maybe 20 minutes, 10 or 20 minutes. And there's lots of modules that they have to help overcome whatever the issue is. Can you give us a list of some of those things that they can overcome? Right. Or correct? I guess it's correct.
You can listen in the morning, midday, or evening. So it depends on what you're trying to do. But let's say that you want to, we have ones for weight loss. We have over 200 sessions just for weight loss. For instance, we have some that like change diet saboteurs into diet supporters. We have the being assertive through weight loss and things like that. Being able to say yes when it's appropriate, no when it's appropriate. We have and they're all dependent on what you want to learn, the lesson. We have stop smoking, we have stress reduction, we have mind over menopause for the women. If somebody's going to be giving birth, we have stress-free childbirth. We have stress-free dentistry. We have the PTSD program for military and for civilians. We have a grieving program that we work with. I just finished up one for football with Art Still, who's a professional football player for Kansas City Chiefs. We do series to even help salespeople like who have their own independent business, like these independent salespeople that do home businesses. We have a program for that called Entrepreneur Breakthrough Academy, because everything, if you think about it, everything is a mind game. If your mind's not in it, if you're not mindful, if your brain's not in the game, you're probably not going to do very well. So we need to get the brain tuned so your life can tune and you can start to, sing the chorus instead of being a backup singer.
Train our brains to do what we want the right way.
Right.
Really, that's it.
That's right.
The future is here, and we appreciate it from you, Doctor. I have more questions, though you're not leaving quite yet.
Okay.
Okay, so when I'm thinking about it, you talk about this ATP and how important it is that our bodies cannot heal without ATP, right?
Right.
How do we get ATP? Because that sounded like something I want.
Well, you get it from light naturally. That's what we convert all of our food. Our food converts into that at some point. They say that, food is just solidified light. So, you can get it first from light. That's one way to get it. If you put an ATP even in YouTube or something, you'll see all the diagrams and how important it is. But when light enters into the system, it does a few things. It creates vasodilation, which means the capillaries, the microcirculation in the body increases, opens up because of nitric oxide. Mm-hmm. This opens up the blood vessels, causes blood to flow in, and starts to build these pathways. Now, these carry with them the nutrients from the food you're eating. The ATP is a byproduct of that. So in order to build, we need energy. So the body, in the infinite wisdom of our creator, has said, okay, if it's there building, we need the ATP there. So it's kind of like we need energy in our tank to drive across town. The body does that at a cellular level. So this ATP is produced, and the thing is, there's a lot of precursors to it, like light is a precursor to it. There's also some supplementation that does it or makes claims on that. I don't know offhand which ones do and which ones don't. I'm not a nutritional expert, but I know that if you eat more greens, fresh alive foods like there's some things called energy bits I travel with. They're little green spirulinas and things like that. And I also have an energy drink that I do. It's called from a company called Get Off Your Acid, which is because if your body's acidic, you're not producing ATP. So I get up in the morning and I have my green drink. That's the first thing I do. And, you know, I think that product, that would be a good person for you to interview. I should put you in touch with Dr. Dr. Daryl. He's great. And he actually has, when you go to BrainTap and on social media, all the Victoria's Secret models that are using BrainTap, they were probably introduced by him because he's like a celebrity nutritionist. He's been on the morning shows all the time. And he became a friend of ours when he started using BrainTap at his office. So
great. Well, we'd love it if you'd arrange that. Yeah. So does your technology help people with autism, other disability, let's not call them that, other challenges?
Right. We have Joquita Handy, who's one of our doctors out in Orange County, California, started working with the autistic community without us even knowing. We don't, when the brain functions right, but what we found was that autistic, when somebody's on the spectrum, they call it, what we found a correlation with what we do is that they don't have alpha brainwave activity. So we created a series that focuses, it's a 10-minute series that focuses on building alpha. And a few of our different studies show that we can increase alpha by over 20%, 20 to 25% in 30 days, just by these kids putting it on. Now, the schools that use it, and we're in several schools now, they call it brain prep. So, because think of an autistic child that when they're stimming, you've probably seen them where they're shaking and quaking and they have so much energy. They don't know what to do with it. They're in high beta. Now, that same person, maybe an hour later, is disassociated and they're disconnected. That's why Robert Melillo wrote the book, Disassociated Kids, is now they're in high theta. They're totally, because the brainwaves don't work digitally. You can't just jump from beta to theta and function right. You should move through the alpha frequency, but they don't have alpha. When we do a brain scan or a QEEG scan, which is, we put the electronic leads, there's a difference between measuring the heart and the brain. The brain is electrical stimulus, the heart is magnetic. So we can do that remotely almost. There's actual ways you can even do it from 18 feet away. But the brain, you have to put these attachments on the head and these probes, and we can measure brainwave activity, and they simply don't have enough alpha to process. Once we teach them, we have story after story of nonverbal kids speaking after even just one session. Because think of it like every brainwave is like a Wi-Fi network. And you have devices that hook up to that network, like our cells, our systems, our organs of our body. If that frequency isn't broadcasting in our body, those systems are shut down. But once we reactivate that part of the system, and everybody has it, and the reason they don't have it is thoughts, traumas, or toxins, something's going on. Usually it's not the thoughts, because a lot of time it happened at birth, so they didn't have the thinking capacity. But once we repair the damage, which is done through light, and then we start to train them through frequency response, the brain is able to come back. And we've had really good results working with doctors. It's not just BrainTap though. I have to tell people that. It's not just, you can't, they do a lot more than that. Like when we work with Life University or Parker College, they do a lot more than just BrainTap. But BrainTap's one of the ways that can keep things going and accelerate those results.
Do universities use BrainTap for education, helping people take testing skills, improving their testing or anything like that?
Well, we're working with several universities now, but the biggest one that I work with for that is Quantum University out of Hawaii. Every student that joins Quantum University gets a series which we call the Quantum Super Learning Advantage, and I put a lot of their courses to BrainTap, so they can actually listen to their BrainTap, get their brain working, and have it function. I was just told this morning actually by Dr. Vivek, who's the head of physiology at Gautam Buddha University, which we've done studies with them before. They've just started 2 massive studies with BrainTap and other meditation programs. So I'm really excited to find out what happened with that, because we just got back from there. We had some really great findings we showed in school, his daughter actually did a research project that she did it with just her high school, and she won 4th place even among medical doctors in research at this event I was at, and it was about BrainTap. She said the power of theta in learning, and she showed that she increased significantly our learning capacity with even just one session of BrainTap. The cognition in the brain improved enough that she could support it with her study. And now the school is using it now on a school-wide basis. I posted that on social media. If they go to the BrainTap site, they'll see the study there. Varuna Sharma did the study.
Okay, great. So back up a little bit, a couple more questions. Can we, back to the ATP, can we measure our ATP? Is there a test you can go to the doctor and get taken, or?
I think there is.
Do you know of any tests?
We measure energy across the body. We actually have a heart rate variability, or data pulse analysis, they call it. And through resistance in the body, we can send a low level current through your cartilage, and it will tell us how much energy you have flowing through the system. And then it feeds that back to us. So we can measure that through our, what we call data pulse analysis system. There's probably other ways to do it too, but you'll find that people who have a lot of inflammation, you can't have energy and the destruction of inflammation at the same time. So once you put out the fire of inflammation, your body will naturally bring up your ATP production.
Okay.
That's why water, when they say drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, or half your body's weight in ounces of water, water has the molecule of hydrogen in it. So you can either drink hydrogen water and really accelerate this process, or you can drink the water and let your body do the processing, because your body's going to break the water apart and create that hydrogen response, that covalent bond. And that's part of what keeps the body making this ATP.
Okay, so you get a good idea. So can the people watching, if they want to go get the brain testing done and check out all their ATPs and all the things you talked about, can they go to your website, put their zip code in, and find a doctor in their area?
They can. Hopefully it's working.
Or can you give us your email?
We tell them about that. We do have. If not, they can email support@braintap.com. We have 2,300 offices in America using BrainTap. About half of them have instruments where they can actually record brain activity. Some have different systems, like Dr. Bagnell has all the latest equipment and tools. Dr. Miller has one called the New Mind. There are people that have different neurofeedback devices like NeuroInfinity. Some people have the data pulse analysis, so we can set them up and get them somewhere.
Dr. Lankering, Dr. Court, tons of them. But everybody watching, if you could email support@braintap, just like it sounds, .com. They will be able to direct you to a location.
Just ask for a location near them, and they'll email them back to the location.
Okay, so now back up a little more on your sessions. The headsets, you listen to the morning, noon, or night. You listen to the different modules. If you're using it, does it give you the benefit of sleeping? And is a certain amount of minutes using BrainTap equal to a longer amount of sleeping?
Well, we have 10-minute sessions that are designed to wake up the brain. We call it digital coffee. So people will feel like they just took a short nap and got re-energized. Usually, most people know about the power of napping, but they don't have 3 to 4 hours to take a nap. So most people will tell us it's the equivalency of a 3 or 4 hour nap. If you do it in the middle of the day, we now know that a 20-minute session helps you to reclaim about 80% of the energy you had in the morning. So if you can do it at around 2 to 3, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the reason that people have this desire for coffee or whatever is because our core temperature in our body goes down about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so it's basically telling us it's time to shut down, do a little reboot, do a little meditation, relax, take a poke, a siesta, whatever. But people don't do that. They just power through it. They go get some caffeine or something like that. But if you can do a reboot, and then of course, if we have the sessions in the evening, we actually have Delta training for the evening, which basically drops your brain off into the deeper states. Most of our people listen at night even to sessions that aren't sleep sessions, because the brain simply goes through a cycle of sleep at night. We should go through 3 cycles like that. So each of our sessions has 3 to 4 cycles in it. So we're again biohacking. We're kind of tricking the brain, as it were, to think you've had it. Now, it doesn't replace sleep. You still need sleep, but what will happen is people will sleep deeper, get more sleep out of 6 hours than most other people get out of 8 hours.
Right. So, and just for the people watching, these sessions you're talking about, just, and you could explain it better than me, that they're doctors or specialists of many kinds, talking to people to help them. You explain it better than me. Go ahead.
Right. What we've done is they're all learning modules. So for instance, let's say that we're going to help somebody with stress. We're going to teach them techniques that they can use when they're not on the Brain Tap. So even though they're doing it, so think of it like practice. If you're an athlete, you're going to practice so that when you're in the game, you perform better. So think of Brain Tap as practice so you can perform better in the game of life. And of course, you're going to get rid of the stress. You're going to start to anticipate and focus on how you want to act, behave, and respond to situations rather than just become reactionary. Because living a reactionary life is very stressful. We want to interact and dance with life, not have this constant barrage of negative responses.
Mm-hmm. So that's great. So I just want to make sure they're a little clear. And I want to give a testimony. I've used Brain Tap some. I do have the headset, but before I had the headset, I just used it from my cell phone with earphones. Mm-hmm. How does that, it's not as beneficial, I'm sure, but I gotta tell you, for the people who don't have a headset, it works.
Right. Well, I think you could let people try it. If you want to put into the messages a link, we can gift them all 15 days free. Just put it in a link below and let them try it for themselves. Because what we did is we said some people are very auditory, so they can listen and they can get a really good response. But for people
Thank you. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So I'll put the link down below or up above, and anybody watching this will go to whatever the link is, and you can try it for 15 days. I think seems like they get the gist of it. And it's no credit card or anything, right, doctor?
Right, no credit card. And they can also get a copy of that book we were talking about, The Thrive in Overdrive, for free. It's a PDF. They can save it to their Kindle reader, or they can save it to their iBooks. They can read it on their phone or their device, and they can learn all about the technology, and there's no cost. And you get to keep the book once it's done. So.
Great, thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you. So let me just finish up on my testimony, because one of my most favorite one was hydration. So I listened to this module for about, I think it was 20 minutes, because I don't drink enough water. And I did this before I went to bed. I'll be darned, that very same night, I woke up 5 times thirsty as could be. Had to run in the kitchen, because I don't keep a bottle on my nightstand, a bottle of water. Had to run in there. So it was the power of your program put into my mind. You're going to be thirsty tonight, and it worked.
Right. What it is your brain knows what you need. So as long as it's something you need, your brain will follow through. And so with that long-term thinking we're talking about, is you put little triggers into your life that said, hey, when I feel this way from now on, I'm going to have water instead of maybe something else. Or some people will eat when they're thirsty. This has been confused because when we're babies, of course, we don't tell mom or dad, hey, I'm thirsty, I don't need food. Mom and dad gets to choose. So the signaling system gets kind of misrepresented. So, but most people are thirsty. There's actually a really good book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And the listeners would be shocked to know all of the different symptoms from dehydration. So water is probably the key to improving your life. Sleep is number 1, probably, then water, I would say.
Then food, third, huh? So here's another thing that happened to me. I was listening to one of your programs. At this time, I had the headsets on for many a nights to go to sleep, relax, because you go to sleep and you're all tense, like you said. So sure enough, I could, and it was one that you did. I could hear your voice. Everything went perfect. I fell right to sleep, right? Did it for 3 nights in a row. Well, then I had to go on a trip. And both nights I was gone in the hotel, I could hear your voice. I could hear your voice telling me what to do, but I didn't have the earphones in.
Right. So you're learning.
Why?
That's the part of it, is you're learning to do it for yourself. The whole key is to learn, for you to learn to do this. The technology is just there to assist you in learning quickly, so you don't have to go through all the lessons. You can do it very rapidly and learn how to relax the body.
Yeah. I knew I had to ask you that because I thought that was kind of strange. I'm laying there thinking Dr. Porter's telling me what to do to relax. Well, so anyway, well, we're excited. Thank you for that gift. Hopefully everybody watching will go to the link below or above and take advantage of Dr. Porter's gift of a book that he's giving you all. That's a big deal. Thank you. And then also go ahead and no credit card, just try the different modules. They'll have access to all of them.
They'll have access to, yeah, they should have access. There's a power user, which is like, there's over 1,000 sessions once you get into that.
Wow.
So there's some that are just music only. So if they don't want to listen to anybody's voice, they just want to try the light, sound, and vibration part of it without instruction. That's also there.
Right. So if you want to get the headphones, you're going to have to go to BrainTap or go to that link. I'm sure there's somewhere, but you can use it with the light and sound, but you can use it with just earphones.
Right.
From anywhere.
Once they sign up for that free time, they'll be given a link if they choose to purchase them. There, but they don't have to. It's just, let's try it out, see what you think, and then we can take the next step.
Right. Our World Wellness is for just education only. So we're not selling. It's just Dr. Porter's trying to explain how it works, and me as well. So we also have an interview with you about weight loss here in a couple of weeks. So hopefully some of us have done that and tried the program by then, and maybe they can even make some comments to me, and we'll let you know how it's going.
Sounds good. We'll look forward to giving you some tips on that. It'll be the new year, so people will be ready for it.
Yes. Anything else you'd like to talk about, or you've done an amazing job?
I think just know that there are technologies out there that can help you through what technology is causing. You know, we have a lot of stress over our technology. So let's use the right technology to tune the brain and get your body back healthy so you can enjoy your life, especially now through the holidays. I mean, a lot of people need the stress reduction just to get through the holidays. So go there. It's a gift, no credit card necessary. Use it give yourself the 15-day challenge, see how you feel.
Right. It gives me the chills when you say these things, because I know you are making a difference in everybody who wants to try this life. And that's exciting to me. And I'm grateful for you doing that for everybody. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Share this podcast and the link. Our goal is to get 1 billion brains healthy and functioning in the right direction so we can change the world. So let's all do it together.
Okay, great. We will absolutely do that. Thank you, Dr. Porter, and have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Thank you.
And we'll be talking to you soon. Okay. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.